what's up? I'm Josh.
I'm Keith. We're from Buckcherry, and you're watching Hit the Floor.
Check it out.
When I was a young gun, I could live without the laws. I made my mess, I could live without you all. If I stop from breathing, I won't listen to the call.
Right, what's going on? My name's Estin for Hit the Floor. I'm here with Buckcherry. Fellas, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Not too bad. How are you dressed into the cold today? Is it getting a bit much for you?
Well, you know, actually, we're about 3.5 weeks into our European tour, so we're quite acclimated to the weather at this point. Yeah.
Where else have you been so far? It's sort of contesting the weather here.
Yeah, we started off in Finland and headed to Norway and Denmark and all through Germany. It's been a pretty extensive.
It's going to be pretty cold over there, I would have thought.
Yeah, it's good, but the shows are making up for the weather, so.
Has to. I mean, obviously you guys are here on a Taste of Chaos tour, and you're here with Papa Roach, who are good friends of yours. You toured with them many times before. I know you guys do tend to get up a few pranks with each other from time to time. Papa Roach wouldn't tell me what they had in store for you towards the end of the tour. Are you going to shed any light on it at all?
No, it's going to be a secret, and it's going to be amazing.
I've heard about playing people's tracks back through the monitors, but a different track to what they're playing at that time. Is this correct?
I haven't heard that one yet. Have you heard that one?
Yeah,
yet?
I've heard about that one. That better not happen. I'll tell you that.
Oh dear. Well, I won't be around for it. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I'll just let you know what might be happening a little bit later on. But yeah, and I've been watching a few interviews in the run up to this interview, and obviously you guys are big fans of big sports fans over in America. I know you're a Cowboys fan. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And it was the Steelers.
Steelers,
Yeah, there we go. Right. I mean, obviously you guys, I'm guessing over the years have spent quite a lot of time in the UK. Have you picked up any sort of passions for any UK sports at all? Maybe soccer or anything like that?
No, you know, I like a little bicycle racing.
Bicycle racing.
Yeah, but that's about it.
That's about it. You
Yeah.
just sort of stayed away from it. So football's not your thing. Well, continental football's not your thing then, no?
No, I never really got into it, you know.
Well,
I know it's got a huge worldwide fan base, and we kind of paid a little bit of attention to the World Cup when it was happening this past year, but it's not really on the radar for us in the States, unfortunately.
I'm a big boxing fan. I like some of your boxers. Ricky Hatton, Amir Khan, Carl Frock, you know, Joe Calzaghe. So.
I mean, you've toured with some huge bands over the years. I mean, most notably is obviously ACDC, which I know you guys are big fans of. I think you said once, we've opened up for ACDC 5 times now. Now we can die. I think that's a direct quote of yours. I mean, are there any bands left now that you haven't toured with that you would really like to in the future?
I mean, there's always bands you'd like to play with, you know. I'd like to get on some kind of like obscure type music festival, some, you know, really cool, like, I'd love to play with Prince. You know, that'd be amazing if we shared a bill with Prince, because we've really, you know, got a lot of our rock and roll heroes we've been on stage with, and so it'd be nice to do something, you know, a little different.
I mean, obviously, you guys met through, well, obviously a love of tattoos first and foremost, and obviously a love of ACDC as well. Do you think if it wasn't for ACDC, you'd be here doing what you're doing today, or do you think, you know, you still would have found your way to it anyway?
Well, I think we probably would have found our way to it anyway, because that's one of many bands that that has influenced us, you know. But one of the things that we admire about a band like ACDC is their staying power, their ability to have a career over so many years, you know, much like the Rolling Stones and Aerosmith and Metallica and other bands that have really lasted a long time. We see so many bands come and go just since we've been a band, so those are the kind of things that we admire about those kind of bands.
More similar to Papa Roach, you switched back to an independent label a bit later on. I mean, obviously you've been on the major labels before, and I was talking to Papa Roach before, and they said it really gave them obviously a bit more freedom, a lot more freedom, and gave them a bit more energy back into the band, and sort of injected a bit more back because they had the freedom to do more of what they wanted to do, rather than obviously deal with the bureaucracy of a larger label. Is that something you experienced as well when you went back to an independent?
Yeah, I think there's a certain amount of freedom that we've experienced with an independent label, where it hasn't been like, all right, we've given you guys all this money, now we want a say in the product that you turn into us. For us, it's really been about, we signed to a independent label that was passionate about what we do, and then we can make our records and give them the record that we want to make, and we don't have to really answer to anyone on the creative side of things.
Yeah, always better. I mean, this, because going back to you playing live before, I remember I was watching an interview with yourself quite recently, and you were talking about the song "Too Drunk," which goes back to the time when you were too young to play in the clubs, so you used to play house parties more. And it just reminded me of obviously the song "Crazy Bitch." Is a club back from where I live, plays that every Friday and Saturday night, and it gets everyone on the floor every time, and it's got a real party feel to it. Do you think those days, obviously playing house parties like that, do you think that sort of impacted in your music a bit later on, that there is sometimes that kind of party feel to your music?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, when I was at that time, you know, when I was listening to rock and roll records, it was all about having a good time, you know, and songs were about partying or fucking or anything like that. You know, it wasn't just. It was pretty simple, and that's what I loved about rock and roll. It was very simple and easy to get. You know, it wasn't really complicated, and you know, simplicity is an art form, and ACDC does it the best. And you know, those songs you talk about, you know, there's only like one or two of those on each of our records. You know, but sometimes there's so much attention towards them that you know, a lot of people don't understand like the depth of Buckcherry, except, you know, people who really get into our records as a whole. You know, but. Yeah, you know, I like to revisit my childhood a lot because it was exciting and fun, and I don't think people want to hear about how much I like to sit and read books or, you know, play with my kids. You know, I'm not gonna write songs about that. So, you know, I write songs about all kinds of stuff. You know.
I don't know. I think I'd like to hear about what books you like to read from time to time.
Well, you do. Sometimes we make them into songs, like A Child Called It and Rescue Me, and you know, Broken Glass.
But like I said, one of the sort of the ethos of this band is, like you said before, that success is the only option. No matter what's going on, whether you're sick, whether you've got problems, I mean, within reason, of course, you will always keep going, and you always make sure that the record gets made or that the show gets played as well. You know, you've obviously got a tremendous work ethic, and you're always evolving and keep going. You've been going for a long time now as well. Where would you like? I mean, what's left? What's your next goal for the band? Do you think? Where would you like to see yourself go in the future? I
just think we'd like to sustain what we're doing. You know, keep making records that satisfy us, that satisfy our audience. You know, that's really the legacy. What we talk about all the time is the legacy that we leave behind is the music. So I think creating great music and the body of work to look back on after 20 or 30 years. You know, it's really what it's about. The music.
Yeah, building the audience, you know, becoming an arena rock band, headlining arena rock band would be worldwide, would be amazing. You know, that's a hard goal to achieve, especially in this climate. So that's what we want to work on, especially in Europe. That's why we're here, you know, doing everything we can to get to a higher level, you know.
So yeah, I remember you saying before that on the last album you were really trying to create sort of rock anthems. Is that something you're still striving to do you think, for the future?
It's just mostly because there's such a void in rock music for rock and roll anthems. You know, there's just not a lot of bands playing straight up rock and roll. You know, it's very few are having any kind of success doing it. So that's why we wanted to do it.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of bands I've been speaking to recently have been talking about a sort of distinct, especially on the rock end of things as well, a distinct lack of originality in a lot of new bands. Everyone's trying to follow the same thing, whether it's the heavier side of things or go more into the alternative and that kind of thing. Is that something you've noticed at a band? I mean, obviously I'm not asking you to stand there and preach because no one wants to do that, but would you like to see someone doing it a bit different nowadays?
I mean, I think we always like to see people kind of forging out on their own. The problem with rock music, well, one of the problems with rock music is you know, doing something that's completely original, I think is almost out of the question because so much of it's already been done. But I think just trying to find your own voice in it really is the key. So anyone that kind of goes out there on a limb and tries to find their own voice in it is someone I admire.
You know, I'm finding it hard to really understand what some bands are about because so many bands now are running tracks live that I don't really know if they're, you know, what they're about, you know, if they can really play or how good the songs are, you know, or what, because I'll sometimes see these bands and they'll be running tracks and it just sounds like their record coming through the PA, you know, it's weird, and it's becoming pretty common now, you know, for live shows. So you know, we don't do any of that. We've never done anything like that, and all the bands that we've, you know, grown up admiring have been just, you know, live. When you go see a live show, it's live, everything, you know, so good and bad. So that's what I'd like to see more of.
Well, like I said, I'm really excited to see you guys tonight. It's going to be my first time seeing you, so that's going to be brilliant. I haven't seen Papa Roach in a long time as well, so it's going to be brilliant. But one thing I do say before I do go, if it all ended tomorrow, would you be happy?
Absolutely.
For sure.
That sounds like the best way to end the interview. Thanks very much for talking to us. Have a great set, Thank you.